So the deal is that, like you said, we have a comparator, muscle tension load, nerve endings. What does all this mean? How does this all work in real life in the gym? Well, you know, when we were talking about all that, you know, cerebellum, basal ganglia, thalamus, all that stuff that's in our brain. Well, let's say that they make up the comparator, okay? And maybe there's even several layers of comparator, several layers of these units in each one of those different parts of the brain, all right? And so the deal is that whatever you do, okay, so let's say we're doing a bicep curl, right? And we have a goal of taking that muscle to fatigue, and we're going to take it to fatigue and have a little burning sensation in the shortened position right here, okay? So we want to finish in 60 seconds with fatigue in the shortened position, just like that, all right? So what we do is that we start the rep, and that very first rep, as we're moving that load, we're going to get some input we're going to perceive what's going on. There'll be some input going into these nerve endings. These nerve endings will send that to the comparators. Those comparators will tell how close we are to the goal. And so we'll continue to make adjustments with each rep to get us closer and closer to that goal of getting fatigue in the up position and at 60 seconds. And so that's how that works. Is there any more that, you know, because I might have left something out, is there something that you see that I could probably add, a question you want to maybe ask me about that?
Can you explain how error fits into this? Because one of the things we didn't go in there is error, and one of the things that we try to correct people on is their improper biomechanics and things like that. Right.
Well, with the error aspect of things, you know, the error is like the first thing, the very first rep is going to be an error, because the deal is the goal is to finish in this position at 60 seconds with fatigue. So at each rep, it should be moving you closer to that goal, okay? So each rep is going to be an error in and of itself until we actually get to that one that we want, where it's like, oh, yeah, I got fatigue in that muscle at 60 seconds. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because you're going for the goal, which is time under tension and to stress the muscle.
Right.
And just performing one rep isn't that goal.
Right, exactly. And so we just got to keep going around the loop until we get there. Now, you brought up some mechanics issues, and we talked about that earlier. You know, when we're trying to do the muscle, where's the sweet spot for working that muscle? You know, is it if we go too fast, will that create the stimulation that we want? Maybe we're not in the right alignment, you know, when we're doing it. So we'll be getting error messages about that also, all right? And if we have built in that sense of what it's like to work that muscle and how it should feel, then that input will go into the comparator. The comparator will make the adjustments so that you find the right place to do that movement in. You know, because sometimes, for example, a person might be doing a chest press and their arms go down a little bit too low, and that's not going to activate the chest as much as if they're right in this horizontal plane right here. So what we do is we want to try to make sure that they're there, and we want to build in a sense of what that feels like to be there. Mm-hmm. All right?
And again, just to stress the idea that having your arms abducted at 90 degrees and chest pressing, we said that as the goal for this in terms of stimulating the chest, but if you did adduct your arms and brought them down a little bit, that's the common for strength and bench pressing, because you incorporate different muscles, and while you may not be stimulating the chest, you're stimulating other muscles to get more power output for your goal, which is to lift more. Is that correct? Right.
Well, and so here's a kind of sneaky thing about that. Here, so stand here and face that way. Put your arms up, right? So, and then come on out here, okay? And this is a little technical, so, you know, if this doesn't work for you, you don't have to, but if for someone who would find this interesting, pay close attention. This is a pretty good question that he asked. So the deal is that when you're doing a movement in this plane right here's your axis, and then if we draw a line to this point right here, this is where the load is going through. So the load is moving. The lever for this load right here is from your shoulder to your elbow, okay? And so that's going to have a different impact than And we already talked about that already. Like if we did this right here, now that's a different impact because the load is being applied from this axis out to his hand, to your hand. All right. So that's a longer lever. This is a shorter lever. And then watch this right here. You can relax that other hand. What if we just drop it in here like that?
Even shorter lever.
Even shorter lever makes a heavier weight easier to do. Also adds a little bit more of your deltoid to it, and so with that, then now you're going to be able to lift a little bit more weight. So that's how that works. You see how that works?
Makes sense, and that gets basically into specialization differences. So if you're a strength training athlete versus a bodybuilder versus...
So like if you want to power lift and you're looking at trying to lift the most amount of weight that you can lift, then that third option would be the one. If you're looking for just developing hypertrophy in the muscle, then this right here is good enough. And then if you're saying, hey, I want more than that, I'm just maximally stimulated in all kind of ways, and I got a lot of muscle to help protect my joints, then you may want to move your hands outside of your elbow. And those are the kind of decisions that we make. Here again, we're not looking at what's right or wrong, good or bad. We're just looking at, all the variables and then seeing which variable works best for the client.
Okay. And that gets back into basically goal setting. So basically the goal determines everything.
Right. The goal determines what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, for how long you're going to do it, all that stuff.